Hi, I'm Howard Baker, the director of Unstable Fables, Tortoise versus the Hare. And today, we're going to talk about character development and how to draw a character. Now, everybody knows that Tortoise versus the Hare is about a tortoise and a hare. And so it was our job to figure out how to make a new, very unstable way of designing a hare and a tortoise. So let me show you some early designs of our tortoises. Here we have a tortoise, but you can see he's very round and plump, but we thought he was looking a little bit too much like a walrus. So I turned to my character designers and said, hey, show me some other ways of making a tortoise. And so we did this design here, which we all liked a lot and we thought was very funny, but we didn't think it quite fit the world of three-dimensional computer animation that we were trying to make.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than this.
There was maybe a little bit too much detail. And so we ended up on this design of Walter Tortoise over here. And then once we had our version of what we felt like the tortoises would look like, thick people with shells on their back, we were able to then go ahead and design his wife, Dottie Tortoise. And finally, we have Crystal Tortoise, firecracker daughter of Walter J. Tortoise. She's anything but slow and steady. And you can see she has a lot of energy and a lot of expression. The other set of animals that we wanted to design were hares. So we started off again and we designed this first rabbit, and he looked a little bit familiar, like we maybe had seen him before. We wanted something a little bit more unique. And then this one here, which is just too crazy and wacky for us. We thought it was just a little bit too silly. Then we did this design. We kind of liked the length of him and the sort of uniqueness of him. We loved his plaid pants and his carrot for a tie. We didn't feel it was quite ready yet. Maybe this guy is a little too smarmy. He's smoking a cigarette, he's got yellow teeth. And so we started refining his design, making him look a little bit more like the used car salesman that he is. Hey guys. And then still refining him a little bit more, we ended up with this final Murray Hare. You can see he really looks like someone who would be working in a used car lot. He's slick, he's smart, he's just slightly smarmy. And then we decided to put shoes on the hares because we're so used to seeing their floppy feet, we thought it'd be funny to put shoes on them.
Have I got the perfect car for you?
Butch Hare started off looking a little bit different, and here's a number of different designs we started off with him. And we liked a lot of the elements of these designs, but what we ended up thinking was that he could just be a little bit older. We finished with a very similar design to this one here, but we ended up changing his clothes so he looked like he was wearing a little bit more contemporary style clothes, a little bit more of a science nerd as opposed to maybe a sports guy.
I like to be outside. I like exploring nature, studying rocks and minerals, astronomy.
And then we followed suit in making Annette Hare wearing her real estate jacket and giving her a little telephone so that she could always be talking on her earpiece, and a briefcase because after all, she is a working mom.
Stay-at-home moms make me uncomfortable.
So the animation for the Unstable Fables is computer animation.
Okay, tired. Gotta take a break.
But we still use drawing as a way to communicate the story in our storyboards and in our design process. So today, I'm going to show you how to draw 4 of our main characters. Now you can use anything you want, whether it's a color pen or a marker or even a ballpoint pen. But today, I'm going to use a B pencil with an eraser on the back just in case I make a mistake. So the first character I thought I would draw would be Murray Hare, the father rabbit. And I like to start drawing him by sort of figuring out what his head shape is. And he has almost like a diamond head shape, and then he has a nice long neck and a fairly small teardrop shaped body. And then he has these very long legs. And you can see I'm just lightly sketching these in. I'm not worrying that the lines are perfect. Murray Hare is a real shyster, and so he uses his hands a lot. So I always like to draw him with a pose where he's doing something big and broad with his hands, making sure that I create volume for all the shapes. So here's his stomach and his head. And now that I feel like I got a general feeling of what he looks like, I can start adding more details. Like here are his ears, and then I like to add his eyes so I can really start to get a sense of where he's looking and what he's looking at, where his teeth hang off the top of his muzzle, and then his mouth comes out from underneath that. And starting to add more details like his tie, his collar. He's got these funny pants with a little belt that go across the side. And see, once again, now I'm starting to put the details on top of my sketch lines. And if you feel like it, you can go in with your eraser and erase some of your construction lines so that you can start getting a finished looking drawing. And we want to make sure that everything we put on a character really adds to his personality. And here I am again, adding a little volume to his arms, and then adding the fingers and the thumbs. He's like, yeah, man, I got a car for you. And then when I draw characters that I'm posing like this, I really like to put them so their pupils are looking directly at me. And you can see that gives him a lot of personality, makes him a real winning character. Let's add his little side hairs. And then he has hair on the top of his head that he's slicked back with Brill Cream, another character trait, and I'm going to color in a little bit because it's dark hair. Big bushy eyebrows, and he has a little bit of a smarmy, stern look in his eyebrows, and that would be Murray Hare.
Hares are known for two things. We're the handsome cousin of the feeble bunny rabbit, and we have blinding speed.
So the next character I'm going to show you how to draw is Butch Hare. And instead of putting him in his presentation pose, I'm going to show you him in an acting pose so you could put him into scenes for yourself. And I start by creating a line of action, and I'm going to draw him like he's been running a race and he's very, very tired. So I make sure his back is curved and his feet are kind of floppy, like he can't pick up his feet anymore. Then I'll keep his hands almost dragging all the way to the ground. Even his tail looks like it's tired. When you draw kids, you want to give them nice big eyes because that's what makes them look younger and more bright-eyed. But in this case, Butch is going to have his eyelids way low down on his eyes so that he looks tired. Let's not forget to add his teeth and his gaping mouth like he's gasping for air. The hares all have a little bit of hair on the side of their faces like this. Here's his shorts coming in, the line of his t-shirt, and then let's not forget his ears, and even his ears are going to look tired. Here's his hair, also looking tired. Here's the other ear behind his hair. And then we start putting the details of his expression in, his eyeballs. Here's his nose. I'm going to use my eraser a little bit so construction line behind it is gone. And then even his whiskers look tired. And then last thing we put on Butch is always his glasses. So he wears kind of these cool sneakers with rubber soles that come up over the toe and laces. And all he needs is to add some color. And here's Butch Hare.
Dad was right. Never trust a tortoise.
So let's draw Walter J. Tortoise. Now, Walter J. Tortoise is a very stoic guy, and so what we wanted to start with was very stoic shapes. And so he's constructed of much larger, rounder, slow and steady kind of shapes. He's got fairly big eyes. They kind of pop out a little bit from his skull. Since he's a reptile, he has sort of a hook-shaped nose, like a bird, like a beak. And then he has nostrils that are high up on his face to show that he's kind of a snooty guy. And then starting to get into the construction of him, we add a turtleneck. And a turtleneck is sort of the kind of thing, sort of an in-joke with the designers to give him something that is very much like a turtle, but even though it's an in-joke, it does end up really adding to his character. And now I'm adding his jacket. One of our producers, he really wanted to make sure that that fabric on the jacket looked like very expensive fabric, so we put little shiny pinstripes going all the way down it, like maybe a banker would have. Now, of course, the shell on a tortoise is a big part of the tortoise's personality, and you wouldn't be a tortoise if you didn't have a shell on your back. And so we decided to make our tortoise characters to look like they were sort of like little stubby characters who were then wearing a shell on their back. So we put diamond shapes on his back, and here we are finishing up the details. And there you have him, Walter J. Tortoise.
I can't imagine anything more fun.
I'm going to show you how to draw Crystal Tortoise now, and just like Butch, I'm going to put her into an action pose. Now, Crystal is a big fan of dancing, so I'm going to start with her turtle shape. There's her head, and then I'm going to create a line of action, and what this does is it helps me to define the movement of her pose. This is where her right leg's going to be, and then I'll do another line of action to where her left leg's going to be, and then this is where the bottom of her shell is going to come together. Now, it doesn't quite look like Crystal yet, but you can definitely see that there's a character here doing some action. Here are her hips, here are her shoulders, and then her arms going up in another line of action. So less lines you can use, the more that they connect to each other, the more flow the pose is going to have. Now I can start putting this together as Crystal. This may not look like a tortoise yet, but it gives me an idea of what to put the shapes of her body on top of. Crystal, like her father, has very thick legs, especially for a little girl her age. And once again, they give her stability, make sure it looks like she wouldn't fall over. You can even put a line of action on a hand or an arm, even in the face, to suggest the motion. Crystal paints her fingernails pink. She sees the world in a very positive way, and so to help illustrate that, we gave her really big eyes. And the tortoises are actually fairly simple characters, which really does work well for computer animation. We don't really need a lot of details because the fact that they're three-dimensional is a detail on its own. Let's put in the shape of her shell, and then the shell protrudes out the back, and let's add her tail swinging out the back as part of the pose. And there we have Crystal in her famous disco pose, Crystal Tortoise. So remember to first of all have fun with all the things that you draw, because after all, drawing is a lot of fun. And some other things to remember when you pick things like what kind of clothes they wear or the shapes of their body, the poses that they take, that it really helps to define the character and who they are, what those characters are like, and how they're going to act in a story. And then when you're drawing those characters in a story, don't forget that the way you make the shapes of their body parts will reflect the mood they're in, what is their emotion at the moment, and helps drive the story. And then don't forget the line of action will help define motion and let your characters come to life, just like we've done here for Unstable Fables, Tortoise versus Hare.
Now that's good television.